Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to Oris and Fresh Start Food Hub. My name is Mukhtar Ido. I am the Executive Director for the Organization for Refugee and Immigrant Success. Fresh Start Farm is a program of Oris. Oris has many programs, but this is also a program that has been around for the last 15 years. It's an honor to have you at the Fresh Start Farm, Mr. Secretary. I'd like to make a couple of remarks before I hand over to our mayor. Oris is a refugee and immigrant and operated organization, refugees helping other refugees, and Oris represents what the new Americans accomplish and contribute to this country. As you can see, Oris expands market for local food producers. Many local and regional food producers supply food to the food hub, from vegetable and fruits to meat, dairy, and bread. The food hub then sells and distributes this fresh produce to community members who need it. For example, our mobile markets delivers healthy food to communities that struggle to access any bay and pay for groceries. And more markets equal more jobs. Through this process, we also create opportunities for low-income families and community as a whole. We created a lot of opportunities and jobs at this operation alone, and our producers are expanding from refugees and immigrant farmers to local and regional producers who make income by selling their produce to the Fresh Start Food Hub. Under your leadership, Mr. Secretary, significant operation of this has been supported by programs from USDA, starting from Community Food Project, Local Food Promotion, Farmers Market Promotion, Beginning Farmers Ranch. Without those, we don't think we would have been successful like this. So we appreciate you facilitating the leadership to support programs like this. It's an honor to have you all here, and it's a great honor to welcome the Mayor of Manchester. Thank you.
Thank you, Mukhtar, and it's wonderful to be here with you as well, and to welcome Secretary Vilsack and his wife, Christy, to Manchester. I want to thank all of you for joining us to support rural communities and farmers and ensure that every resident of New Hampshire has access to healthy foods. It's absolutely critical that we build more new and better markets for producers and entrepreneurs, establish more opportunities to buy and sell locally produced products, and create good jobs and strengthen food supply chains in our region. Thanks to our partnerships with federal officials, including the USDA, we're doing just that, making significant progress in tackling food insecurity, leading the way in developing new approaches to create more healthy food options in our city. It's fitting that we're here today at Fresh Start Market, which serves as an access point for healthy food in our community. This market works with Fresh Start Farms, a collective of immigrant and refugee farmers participating in the New American Sustainable Agriculture Program through the Organization of Refugee and Immigrant Success, to bring delicious New England products right here to Manchester. Their network of local farm and food producers brings affordable, top quality produce, meats, eggs, and more to one market, ensuring that residents of Manchester and beyond have access to healthy food options in one place. In addition to the role this market plays in our community, the city is joining our federal partners to deliver on our shared mission to ensure we address food insecurity. Using ARPA funds, we started the Healthy Corner Stores program in 2022 to expand access to healthy food options, especially in designated food deserts. In the first year, we partnered with 6 corner and convenience stores that accept SNAP benefits, and using locally sourced, fresh, affordable, and culturally appropriate foods from Fresh Start Farms, we've expanded access to healthy foods in our community. My office is committed to our continued work alongside local, state, and federal partners as we deliver our shared mission of supporting residents in living healthier lives. I'm very grateful that we have dedicated federal partners at the USDA, the Biden-Harris administration, and our local partners here on the ground in New Hampshire. And I'm eager to see all that we will continue to accomplish together, including with this new investment. Again, I want to thank Secretary Vilsack for joining us in the Queen City and for this investment, which will have a profound impact on our communities and the future growth of our city and our region. It's now my pleasure to turn things over to Commissioner Sean Jasper.
Thank you, and again, welcome to New Hampshire. And there's a lot of great things going on here, and there are places similar to this all around our state, which is very encouraging. And the partnership that we have with the USDA is very important to helping these programs expand. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of state support for things like this, so we turn to the USDA for help because they are so important. As I've said before, I think the future of farming in New Hampshire is with the small operations, and in many of those are the immigrants who are coming here and want to farm. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of our own young people who are really looking to farm in New Hampshire. And I've got a sign that I inherited when I became commissioner. It says, you might need a doctor once in your lifetime, but you need a farmer 3 times a day. And that is so true. And so we really have to do what we can to encourage the growth in agriculture, and it's going to be on the small farms. We had our regional meeting at the Mount Washington last week, and we heard from many of the same organizations. But one of the things that we're trying to do, and I think it's got to be more regional than just New England, is 30 by 30. Now we're only 7 years away from that, and I can't even imagine that we're only 7 years away from 2030, but the goal is to produce 30% of the food that we consume here. Now, that's probably not going to realistically happen here in New Hampshire in the next 7 years, but we can make progress. One of the biggest obstacles we have is that we're still losing prime agricultural land. And we cannot, even though the hoop houses, the greenhouses that we've heard about are going to be important, and people are growing food in containers now with LED lighting, but you can't feed millions of people out of those types of operation. So we've got to preserve our ag land, and again, money that has been in the Farm Bill is important to that. It's been almost 40 years since the Department of Agriculture has been buying development rights. We've changed the program this year, and the bill's in the committee of conference to allow us to directly partner with USDA and with the many land trusts that we have around the state to leverage those federal dollars, which is so important to do that. And we've got to get the availability of land to our young people. We've got some really good organizations working to do that. Land for Good is one that works very diligently to try to connect people with farms who are aging out with young people who want to farm. So I encourage anyone who is looking to farm in New Hampshire to look to that organization. We have land out there, but it's difficult and it's expensive, and so we're doing what we can to make that land more available and more affordable. And again, the labor is an issue. Secretary Vilsack was absolutely right earlier today when he spoke about the need to reform our immigration system. We have millions of people pouring across the border, and they're in a holding pattern in many cases. There should be a program where they're allowed to work on our farms because everybody is looking everywhere for labor. And I don't know, Mr. Secretary, if you saw yesterday the statistics that came out. New Hampshire hit a new low in our unemployment statistics, 1.9%. So obviously labor is really at a premium, and we need to do all we can to make people available to the jobs. It's no longer in New Hampshire a question of trying to make jobs available to people. It's the people that we need. And I appreciate all your efforts. No one actually told me I was speaking, and so I assume, so All right. So I guess the floor is yours, and I apologize for not remembering your name. I don't have a script on that.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Anthony. I am the project director for the NASA program. I also own a farm called Two Mountain Farm, and I want to emphasize for a few seconds about how the young generation is owning farm in New Hampshire. I was introduced to Land for Good after spending 8 years looking for land, which were very expensive, and through Land for Good, I was able to be connected with an old farmer who was retiring, and we had to strike a deal on how I'm gonna inherit, buy the farm through an agreement. The farm is under easement to make it affordable, so I want to emphasize on conservation easement, and also working with organization which connect young farmer and the farmers who are retiring. So thank you very much. NASAP, New American Sustainable Project, began in 2008, and it started as a small community garden, which was by then called Somali Bantu Association, growing food on a small scale garden, a 20 by 20 plot. Today, the program has expanded and has helped over 200 new American farmers to develop incubator farm business and fresh start farm marketing food hub where we are all today. It is such a honor to have you today, Secretary to the United States Department of Agriculture, because USDA has been a source of support to the development of New American Sustainable Agriculture Project here at Organization for Refugee and Immigrants Success. Without the support from FSA, without the support from NRCS, we wouldn't be having those wonderful farmers who are now practicing climate smart agriculture practices. Those farmers who are now having a product in May, even after having a harsh climate. But because of the NRCS programs providing high tunnels, we are able to navigate the weather and have the product at this time of the year. So thank you very much for having such wonderful program. I want to thank you, the USDA's services in New Hampshire, because they have been great. I remember the first day we introduced this program to the state level, and they invited us, and we brought all our farmers, and we introduced ourselves, and since then we had a discussion on how we can engage each other, and for the last 8 years they have been supporting us, and that is why today we are sitting here. Thank you very much. Now it's my honor to invite the Secretary of the United States Department of Agriculture.
Commissioner, you keep growing this, you'll have 30 by 30 without any problem. That's quite a crop. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here at Fresh Start Market and certainly celebrate the work of the New Americans who are continuing a tradition that is very important in New England and across the country, which is raising food for their friends and neighbors. And that's essentially what you're doing here. You know, the president often talks about the importance of rebuilding the middle class. And when he does, he talks about how it has to be done from the bottom up and the middle out. And I think what we're seeing here today is an entrepreneurial effort to allow that middle class to grow here in New Hampshire. By inviting new Americans, by allowing them the opportunity to grow delicious and nutritious foods and being able to make those available for families in need. It's really a wonderful story. It's a heartwarming story of the work that's being done here. And I think it also reflects an important opportunity for American agriculture. For many, many years, our focus has been on large-scale production agriculture. And we have had extraordinary success in developing the most prolific agriculture in the world. An agriculture that allows us to feed our own people and then also to significantly feed people all over the world. It is truly a remarkable success story of productivity. And Commissioner, I'd go one step further than the sign that's on your desk. The reality is every single one of us who's not a farmer is not a farmer because we are relying on the farmers around this country to be able to produce the food, and all we need is a paycheck to be able to go in and buy the food. I can tell you that if I had to grow my own food, my family would be in serious trouble. So the point of this is we do need farmers, and we need to encourage more young people to get in the business. And not everybody can start in a large-scale farming operation, so it's important and necessary for a resilient food supply system in this country that we support and that we advocate for, and that we create a structure that supports small and mid-sized producers who are involved in local and regional food production. Fortunately, with the passage of the American Rescue Plan, the Infrastructure Law, and the Inflation Reduction Act, as the mayor alluded to, we actually have resources that have helped us build a framework to allow that to happen. The programs that have helped local food promotion, programs that have helped the local farmers market promotion program, resources that have been used by beginning farmers, microloans that are now available for beginning farmers. But we've had also a number of other programs that are expanding and strengthening our food supply system. And that brings me to New Hampshire today. We've started an effort to support climate-smart agriculture across the United States, as supplying resources to farmers to embrace climate-smart practices and then linking those practices and the commodities produced from them to markets willing to pay a slightly higher value-added price. New Hampshire is participating in this. We have 141 projects across the United States that we're funding. At least 12 of them are operational in the state of New Hampshire for producers here. We've expanded significantly our assistance for organic producers with our Organic Transition Assistance Program, providing financial help, market assistance, as well as mentoring for those who wish to transition to organic. We've funded resources for additional processing capacity so that farmers are not limited to a single market, but that actually have multiple markets that will compete for whatever it is they're growing, so that indeed they get a better and decent price for what they grow and raise. We've participated and invested in bio-based manufacturing, converting agricultural waste into a variety of new products. We just recently announced a grant to assist mass timber construction and utilization here in New Hampshire because we see this as an opportunity to use our wood products in a very innovative way, not just to build single-family homes, as is the tradition, but to also begin to build multi-story buildings. When we started this effort, when I was secretary before it, under President Obama, we had one or two projects in America. Today there are 1,600 buildings that are either being built or are in design for multiple-story construction with mass timber. This is a growing opportunity, especially for states that depend a great deal on wood industry. We've invested as well in local and regional food systems, and that brings me here today. We're announcing a total of $320 million today in a variety of grants and loans to strengthen our supply chain, our local and regional food supply chain, to make our food system more resilient, and to create opportunities for small and mid-sized operators to be able to profit. We're going to use the Food Supply Loan Guarantee Program providing resources for up to 19 projects, $251 million being made available for products across the United States in a variety of states. A meat and poultry intermediary relending program, that's a lot of verbs, a lot of words rather, but it's 4 projects where we're granting money to entities that will in turn lend it to additional processing capacity across the United States. We're looking at ways in which we can innovate as well with an additional project. But here today in New Hampshire, we're utilizing our Business and Industry Loan Guarantee Program to provide North County growers the opportunity to work with the credit union to be able to construct and equip a greenhouse, a 20-acre greenhouse initiative. We're providing a loan guarantee up to $19.9 million. Now, this is really an amazing initiative. Margarita was explaining this to us earlier. Leafy greens, lettuce, they have a pretty significant goal of maybe as many as 30 million head of lettuce at some point in time in the future. 20 acres. 20 acres. Using this facility as well, with a cogeneration facility, so it's using renewable fuel and power in a very creative way, and because of the size of this operation and its productivity, this particular project will be enabled to provide leafy greens and lettuce products to local grocery stores and local purchasers here within hours, and literally as far away as Washington, D.C. within a day. So we're not only talking about accessing quality food, but we're also accessing fresh food. And this is basically a part of our initial effort here at USDA to continue to invest resources in a way that allows us to build diversity in agriculture, strength in agriculture, resiliency in agriculture, and allows us to create more opportunities for middle-class jobs and middle-class opportunities. And so I'm excited about the announcement today, excited about the work that we're doing in this particular area, and I believe that it's going to offer small and mid-sized producers, many of which farm here in the state of New Hampshire and in New England, more opportunity and better opportunity. And I think the Commissioner and I agree that is certainly something that we should be committed to. So with that, I'd be glad to answer questions if there are any.
There's 19 states that are in
19.
320 million.
It's 320 million.
And how is that going to be divided up among the states?
Well, it's not divided among states, it's projects in states. So there are 19 states with projects in them. So for example, the Food Supply Loan Guarantee Program, that's a guarantee program where we're providing guarantees for credit that folks are using to build out warehousing, cold storage, a wide variety of infrastructure that's necessary to build a stronger supply chain. So there are, I believe, 19 projects in that category. There are 4 projects in that intermediary relending program. There are 3 projects of the Business and Industry Loan Program, roughly $50 million total. And then there's a Rural Economic Development Loan and Grant Award of $1.5 million for one award. So it's a series of awards in a series of states totaling $320 million.
Outside of the greenhouse plan for Berlin, what else is going to New Hampshire at this point?
Not from this tranche of this. The 20 million, nearly $20 million of loan guarantee is the project for New Hampshire. But we just yesterday announced a $250,000 grant that I mentioned about the Mass Timber Initiative. And of course, New Hampshire farmers can participate in the Climate Smart Agriculture Initiative, which I mentioned earlier. There are at least 12 different projects that have opportunities for New Hampshire producers and forest owners to participate in that program. So there's a wide variety of opportunities. We have and will have over time a set of interactive maps that you can go on the website, USDA.gov, click on New Hampshire, and you'll see all the activities taking place in New Hampshire.
Folks, other questions?
I have one.
I know that the Farm Bill is coming up for a vote in October, and
Oh, you are an optimist.
I was going to say, how do you feel?
Well, right now there's I think there's a lot of hard work being done by the committees that are charged with the responsibility of writing the bill. The challenge is always with reference to the Farm Bill of how you try to fit all of the wants and needs that have been expressed as folks go out and about and listen to farmers and listen to folks in rural communities. When you look at the Farm Bill, folks need to understand one thing about the Farm Bill, that it really is not well named. It's more than a farm bill. It is indeed a risk management bill. It is a research bill. It is a conservation bill. It is a rural development bill. It's a forestry bill. It's a farm loan bill and financing bill. It's a conservation bill. It's literally multiple titles to that bill. So there are a lot of demands. And the question is how you fit all those demands in a finite amount of resource that's called the baseline. And right now, there are some who are asking for significant changes in ways in which we are currently supporting farmers when they get hit with low prices or when their crop is damaged. The commissioner was acquainting me, and the folks at the town hall were acquainting me with the freeze that occurred that was pretty devastating to your apple crop and maybe other crops as well. Well, we have crop insurance and risk management tools for circumstances like that, but oftentimes they don't quite do everything that needs to be done to keep people whole, keep them in business. And so in the past couple of years, for example, we've had emergency or disaster relief programs passed by the Congress in addition to the Farm Bill programs. Well, folks are now saying maybe we need a permanent disaster assistance program similar to the emergency relief program we have today. Well, where's the money going to come from if you have to carve it out of the existing resource that exists for the Farm Bill? So the challenge is always figuring out the financing of it. And that's why it takes a while to get this done. I hope that we can get it done because I think farmers want the certainty of knowing what the program is going to be, and I hope that as they put the Farm Bill together, they acknowledge and the need for support for small and mid-sized producers. And let me explain to you why that's important. Last year we had a record farm income. So if you took a look at all the farm income that was generated by farmers in the United States, and you totaled it up and you compared it to any other year, last year was at the top of the list. 2022, best year ever. The problem is there's been a concentration of that income. Large farms, which produce more, sell more than $500,000 in product, got 89% of that profit. Those farms represent 7.5% of all farms. So 92.5% of farms had to share 11%, and that's a challenge. And I think what we need to do at USDA and what we're trying to do with supporting local and regional food systems, trying to support organic, trying to support bio-based manufacturing, trying to support climate-smart agriculture, is to create a companion system that provides small and mid-sized producers options for multiple revenue streams so that they're not solely reliant on the price they get for the particular commodity they raise, but they maybe get an ecosystem service market payment. They take their agricultural waste and it gets converted into something, they get paid for that. Maybe they sell it to a local school and they get a little higher price, not the transportation expense or things of that nature. Ways in which they can reduce their energy costs. All of that is supporting small and mid-sized producers, and it creates a different system. And I'm hopeful that as the Farm Bill is generated and put together, that system is recognized so that folks have a choice. It's all well and good to tell people that they need to get big, but if you talk to any farmers here, they're going to tell you the access to land, pretty doggone difficult to get. And if you're a small and mid-sized producer, it's very difficult to compete against somebody who's large because they have more resources and more access to credit. So you have to have a different system that allows folks to continue to remain small and mid-sized and continue to stay in business and be able to pass it on to their sons and daughters.
Just one more question. Does USDA have any plans for, I know there was a letter signed yesterday by, I think, 10 Northeastern, commissioners of agriculture about the decreases and impact on crop loss. Does the plan
Well, as these commissioners and secretaries know, we are limited by whatever Congress provides us with and the authority. And I think what the commissioners are suggesting, I have not had a chance to read the letter, but what they're suggesting, I suspect, is that if there is a effort by Congress to establish an additional emergency relief program as there was in the previous 2 years, not to forget the Northeast, not to forget the freeze and the damage that's occurred, and to make sure that there's enough flexibility in definitions and reach of a program, if there is one, to include the damage that folks have incurred up here. Because even if they have risk management tools in place, it's not likely that they will be sufficient to cover the entire loss. Am I pretty close? Okay.
Could you speak to, in a state like New Hampshire, where there's constraints on good and small size folks, or infrastructure constraints with processing facilities, impact, that sort of thing? How do you see the future of agriculture? How do you think the state will address that?
Well, we, in the non-meat and poultry area, we just announced a $420 million program providing grants to commissioners and secretaries of agriculture in states on a formula basis to allow them to use their best judgment as to where the processing needs are in their state. So we are providing a resource that the commissioner will be able to use in determining how best to deal with the challenges up here. The challenges in New Hampshire may be very different than the challenges in Georgia for processing. They may have poultry and they may want to do something different, certainly different than what my home state of Iowa would confront, and absolutely different than what you might see in Montana. So what we did is we created this program to provide flexibility. We've also invested a significant amount of resource in meat and poultry processing. We have 31 new processing facilities that were financed across the country where the demand is greatest. We had over 270 processing facilities that are in existence where we enabled them to have larger market access across state lines. And we've also provided additional assistance in terms of lowering inspection fees for a period of time. So we've provided a great deal of help in the processing area, and that's again one of those areas that as they put a farm bill together, seeing the interest and the demand that has occurred from what we've done, they may decide to authorize additional programs.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you all.